Part 32. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 326. It was delivered at noon, to make up for yesterday's. Rao Ying knows better than anyone else the entanglement between Zhou Mikang and Yamiru. Therefore, the younger sister likes Zhou Mikang, but she did not agree at first. She never thought that Zhou Mikang was a suitable husband candidate. She was too hard-tempered, too smelly, and too inconsiderate. Marrying such a man was very tiring. However, after she said all this clearly, the little girl was still determined to marry Zhou Mikang, and she didn't stop her anymore. She has a very good relationship with her sister, and she loves her very much, but she knows very well that when a girl falls in love with a man unconditionally and blindly, if you don't agree with her, even if you marry her and love her again on condition no matter how good a man is, she will not be happy. However, if you don't stop Gui or stop her, she will definitely not help her. Anyway, she has never been optimistic about Zhou Mikang, and she doesn't think he is a suitable choice for sister-in-law. Over the past few years, there has been no progress between her younger sister and Zhou Mikang. In private, she is secretly happy, and she also hopes that her younger sister will move on earlier and meet a boy who is really suitable for her. Unfortunately, things turned out to be contrary to expectations. Before the buds of empathy emerged, the younger sister found an opportunity to get close to Zhou Mikang, the Jiazi Women's Hospital team, and went to work by Zhou Mikang's side. In this matter, the parents' attitude has always been to let nature take its course. If the younger sister marries into the Zhou family, it will be an excellent opportunity for the Rao family, so after the younger sister begged her for help but was rejected. Mom and Dad came forward, hoping she could help my sister. No one understood her worry. Including my sister, in desperation. She could only ask Xiao Gang to help. In fact, the relationship between her and Xiao Gang is also very beautiful on the surface, and she knows the difficulties. The Xiao family may have a slightly weaker foundation than the Ye family and the Zhou family, but it is also a well-known family in City A compared with their family. It is definitely not only a little bit higher. Between her and Xiao Gang, she had always been the one who gave way to him in everything. And it's the kind of unconditional accommodation. It's just that he is very good at making things happen, and he never loses her face in front of her relatives and friends. Therefore, after getting along for more than 2 years, her family and friends feel more and more that she has found the most desirable destination. My younger sister has expressed envy more than once. She didn't have the courage to tell everything she had suffered, and her vanity didn't allow her to speak out, so she kept getting along with Xiao Gang in such a superficially beautiful way. Everyone didn't know that it was the price she paid for asking Xiao Gang to help her younger sister enter the medical team. 3 days a week, he would be sent to his door to serve Xiao Gang. That service was definitely beyond the imagination of ordinary people. Fortunately, the injuries are all in the parts that cannot be seen. No one found out. But that kind of shame often keeps her awake all night long. She even felt that he treated her like this. Maybe he has the heart to marry her. Would a person really treat his wife like this? Thinking this way in her heart, she didn't dare to ask it out of her mouth. She was afraid that if she really asked it out, maybe the relationship between them would come to an end. In fact, she has always been very clear that the real reason why Xiao Gang was with her was not because he loved her so much, but because Xiao Jingjun, Xiao's favorite grandson, once liked her. People might be so strange. When Xiao Jingjun was chasing her, she looked down on the tall, strong, and dark Xiao Jingjun, thinking he was too rough, and walking with him was too embarrassing. But after she and Xiao just fell in love, she gradually realized what a wonderful man she had missed. Xiao Gang treated her pervertedly because he was not as good as Xiao Jingjun in other places, so he found balance from her. When he was having sex, he would ask her over and over again whether he was better than Xiao Jingjun. She has never had anything to do with Jiao Jingjun, so who knows who is better. When she didn't answer, he beat her to death. Then, she could only answer him according to his will against her will. Under his design, Jiao Jingjun became an impotent softy. If she had recognized this earlier, she probably would not have been with Jiao Gang, but she had already followed him, and with that vanity, she had no way out. The sound of running water in the bathroom stopped, and Rao Ying shivered unconsciously. She had eaten Zhou Mikang's dimples during the day, but tonight, I don't know what tricks he is going to play again. Her fingers touched the hard scabs on her body, and she felt cold from the bottom of her heart. Escape. She didn't dare, she was the one who dragged him to help, although it didn't help, but if she didn't pull him, how could he be humiliated by Zhou Mikang? Zhou Mikang is Jiao Jingjun's best friend. With this relationship, she will probably shed her skin if she does not die tonight. Thinking of her sister who was huddled pitifully in the guard room, staring at her like a bunny, she gritted her teeth and tried to suppress the thought of running away. Now, the only one who can save the little sister is Jiao Gang. When she came home today, her parents' eye circles were red. She never liked their cowardice, but she had to admit that for the sisters, their parents had always done their best to take care of them. I have never been like my uncle and uncle's family, forcing their daughters to exchange benefits for the family, hoping that they can marry a man with good conditions, and more wanting them to be happy, rather than wanting to get much from them. At this time, Jiao just walked out of the bathroom naked, without a smile on his face, walked to the bed without saying a word, opened the quilt and grabbed Rao Ying. At 5 o'clock in the morning, Rao Ying staggered on the way home and tormented her all night. Jiao Gang only gave her one word, gun. She no longer has the strength to reason with him, but now, she dare not go home. From his attitude this time, she has a bad feeling. Before, he never let her bring such an image home. Where can she go? After hesitating for a while, she walked to where the Zhou family was. At this time, she can no longer lose her sister, and no one will help her, so she can help herself. From Zhou Mikang's performance yesterday, it can be seen that he attaches great importance to that little wife, so let her find her. In the middle of the walk, she suddenly stopped. If she went to Zhou's house, would Zhou Mikang allow her to find her? So she turned around and walked towards 401. Chu Xia made a lot of resolutions at night, but she didn't wait for the head of the group, and she didn't know what time she fell asleep. Anyway, when she woke up, the book was still in her hand, and the side was still empty, and she sat there for a while. I feel a little uncomfortable. Is he avoiding her on purpose, or is there really something wrong? If something happens, you should let her know, right? First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 327. The bedroom door was gently pushed open, and Zhou Mikang crept in. Seeing Chu Xia, who was sitting blankly, he frowned slightly. Why did you wake up so early? Or didn't you sleep at all? Where have you been? Chu Xia asked with displeasure. It can't be that you can't sleep without me, Zhou Mikang chuckled. It seems that my position in your heart is becoming more and more important. I asked where you were. Don't change the subject. Chu Xia's voice was angry. I was planning to go out and get you a glass of milk, but my dad dragged me out for an overnight meeting. Zhou Mikang would never admit it. He wanted to see if Chu Xia would be worried about him. In fact, he could come up and have a meeting with Chu Xia at that time. To say hello, his father also asked him to say hello to Chu Xia. In the end, he pretended to go upstairs, stood there for a minute, and went down as if nothing had happened. Thinking about it now, he felt that he was childish. Fortunately, the answer was what he wanted. When the little wife was angry, she would only be angry if she cared. He, this is a good sign. Oh, Chu Xia responded, got off the bed, and walked into the bathroom, Boom, after the door was closed, Joe Mikang rubbed his head, struggling. He was still waiting for his little wife to interrogate him for some meeting. Why didn't he inform her before leaving, and then get mad at him? Why is this over? In other words, do you care about it or not? Hello, he stepped forward and knocked on the bathroom door. What time did you go to bed? When others are in the bathroom, it's very impolite for you to ask questions, and refuse to answer in the sound of running water. Chu Xia's voice was full of displeasure, which could be imagined. That little tender bun face is definitely wrinkled now. Mao Xia is very angry now, really angry. The man didn't care about her too much. No matter how urgent it is, if you come up and say it, you will die. But she just didn't bother to ask him, and I could see that he seemed to be waiting for her to ask. She didn't ask, she suffocated him. He doesn't value her, and wants her to value him. There's no way. Take a hot shower and brush your teeth. The mood had almost calmed down, so he opened the door and walked out of the bathroom, ignoring Joe Mikang, sitting in front of the dressing table and blow-drying his hair. Hair dryers in this era are soft and loud. After drying my hair, I mutter unconsciously, what a crap, I will become deaf if I use it every day. What time did you go to bed last night? About this question, Joe Mikang was really persevering, and Chu Xia rolled his eyes at him contemptuously. I know what you want to hear, but I won't tell you. It turned out that he was still angry. Joe Mikang went to the bathroom to wash up with a smile on his face. Chu Xia, may I ask what's wrong with the group leader, Zhaizi? After changing clothes, I thought about it. Chu Xia sat on the armchair and took a cup of warm baikai with salt. He sipped it first, drank half of it, and then gulped it down. Then pour a glass of warm water, scoop a spoonful of honey into it. Stir well, put it back on the table. After about 5 minutes, the bathroom door opened, and Joe Mikang came out wiping his wet hair. You didn't sleep all night? Chu Xia asked. Well, Joe Mikang responded, the meeting in the military area is too urgent, so I can only choose the evening time. I have to deal with the affairs of the regiment later. Don't worry, I am in good health. I will stay up for a night or two, it's nothing at night. Who is worried, narcissist? Chu Xia put down the cup, opened the door, and ran downstairs with a bang. Lin Yangkai was coming out of the kitchen with a pot of hot soup, and when she saw Chu Xia, she smiled and said, it's just right, this stomach-warming soup should be drunk while it's hot. You're too weak, drink it first a bowl. Where is Xiaomi? I just took a shower, and I'll probably be down in a while, Chu Xia said while running to the kitchen to help with the bowl. My father and I had a meeting all night, drank some hot soup, warmed our stomachs, and went to work to be stronger. As long as they don't stare at each other for a while, they don't take their bodies seriously. In early summer, Huiwai mother will tell you how to make this soup. When you two live alone in the future, you can make it for Xiaomi to drink, okay? Being looked at by Lin Yangkai with a smile, Chu Xia quickly nodded, expressing that she was extremely willing to learn, and also extremely willing to endure. No wonder, these two words can only be thought about in her heart. It's not that she doesn't feel sorry for Joe Mikang, it's just that she is still angry at the moment. This soup will take a long time to boil. If the mother-in-law can cook well at this time, it means that when the father-in-law left, he greeted her mother-in-law. Joe Mikang didn't even say hello to her. Hey, he asked her to make soup for her, and she was blinded by plain water. A certain person forgot that he deliberately poured a glass of warm white water for someone and added a spoonful of honey. At this time, the head of the group was holding the cup and drinking the love honey water made by his wife, feeling very happy the daughter-in-law still cares about herself very much. After breakfast, everyone greeted each other, and went to their respective jobs. I don't know if the mother-in-law and the old lady don't know about Joe Mikang's upcoming mission. The atmosphere at home has not changed at all. In the middle of the journey, Chusia finally couldn't hold his breath, and started talking to the group leader. Did mom and grandma not know that you're going to be away for a long time? The corner of Joe Mikang's mouth curled up. I know. Ah, after being taken aback for a while, Chusia asked again, that means you don't know the nature of the mission, right? I don't know the specifics, but I should be able to guess roughly. At this moment, Chusia really doesn't understand. Could it be that he has experienced too much and is numb? You're wondering about their attitude, aren't you? Joe Mikang sighed softly. They are worried about you, so they dare not show it. You are not familiar with them enough. After a while, you will know how to tell if they are in a hurry. Nervous? Oh, Chusia nodded in relief, and she felt that, no matter what, mothers and grandmas wouldn't feel nothing about this kind of thing. Don't be angry with me anymore. Joe Mikang turned his head to look at her, and chuckled. You're not very big, and you're not too short-tempered. Let me tell you, Mom secretly told me to coax you, hee hee. Mom, did you see it? After Chusia finished speaking, she also laughed. She would show her face whenever she was unhappy, even if she was pretending. She didn't look like it. How could Lin Yangqiu not see it? Moreover, I believe everyone should have seen it, but they pretended not to know. Well, her narrow-mindedness has been completely exposed. The case of Xiao's father and son is closed. In this life, it will probably be inside. Joe Mikang glanced at Chusia, and continued, don't worry, no one will dare to think about you like this again, and the people who protect you will also be in it after the arrangement is made. The superiors will personally pick them, they will not affect your study and work, and they will not appear if it is not a last resort. Isn't this a waste of the country's talents? Chusia asked hesitantly. If no one dares to do anything to me, there's no need to send someone to follow me. Be careful. There is no one to protect you. It is difficult for me to stay outside with peace of mind. When you are able to protect yourself, they will naturally leave. Say, remember, you are not allowed to be lazy after I leave, you have to exercise hard. When I see you again, if you are still so weak, see how I will deal with you. Chusia curled her lips, a little disapproving. The more peaceful and prosperous the future, and she doesn't go to remote places, how can it be as serious as he said? Seeing that Chusia didn't take it seriously, Joe Mikang's voice became severe. Lin Chuxia, I solemnly warn you, if you don't exercise well, you will stay at home and you are not allowed to go anywhere. Understood, I will exercise. Don't think about perfunctory me, someone will watch for me. As long as you find out that you are lazy, your military registration will be cancelled immediately, understand? Overbearing. I'm doing this for your own good. As a girl, I can't even do simple self-protection. How can I do it? How can I protect myself? Two ordinary men can't get close to you. Ah. Chusia stared at Joe Mikang with wide eyes. Aren't you joking? It's just me, and two men can't get close. Are you training doctors or special forces? Joe Mikang frowned and looked at her. What team member? Chusia realized that there is no such title in this era, so she smiled and said vaguely, what I mean is, are you going to make me a doctor, or are you going to train me to be a soldier to fight in the battlefield? The better your skill is, the more at ease I am. If I'm by your side, it's okay, but I'm destined to not be by your side often. Lin Chuxia, if you don't want me to be distracted and die outside, you just give me a good practice. Having said this, Chusia really had to pay attention to it, and quickly nodded solemnly, don't worry, I will definitely train well. The two men can't get close to this kind of skill. Look at Joe Mikang, he quickly promised, I will try my best to do it. Driving the car into 401, watching her enter the hall, Joe Mikang sighed softly, turned the car around and left. Of course he felt distressed for her to train himself so hard, but he had to do this. With her appearance and talent, what would she do if he was gone? Before he left, he would of course tell his family to take good care of her, and no matter what happened to him, he would always treat her well. However, sometimes, there were certain things that he couldn't believe unless he did it himself or someone else did it. Or his family will protect him well, but she will remarry after all, and then it will be difficult to protect her anymore. It is more important to be strong than to be protected by others. Of course, this was just his worst plan. If it wasn't uncontrollable, he would never abandon her. From the day she married her, her life was his. Handing her over to someone else was definitely not what he wanted. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 328. There will be an update today and tomorrow. My family is not working well, and I am in a bad mood. Nuan is not good when I come back at night. I am always bored with my first words. The second update is the day after tomorrow. Lin Chuxia. Just as Chuxia was about to go upstairs, Rao Ying came out from the corner. Her face was blue and purple, and she looked trembling, which startled Chuxia. What's wrong with you? I had a fight with Jiao Gang. Rao Ying folded her arms. Can I talk to you alone? About my sister. This. Chuxia glanced at the time. I can give you 10 minutes, but I probably can't help you with your sister's affairs. You are very clear about what she did to me. Let me tell you the truth. I'm not that generous. Or, you go to register to get some medicine first. No need, Rao Ying shook her head. Are you going to talk here? Let's go to the second floor. Chuxia took the lead to go upstairs. At the end of the corridor on the second floor, there were a few rooms where sundries were piled up. Almost no one went there. After standing still, she looked at Rao Ying lightly. Speak. Do you think you are worthy of Zhou Mikang? Rao Ying asked straightforwardly. Certainly. Which one can match? You are not qualified to ask this. Well, let me ask it another way, what have you done for him? No comment. Well, that means you haven't done anything worth showing off for him, but... Do you know what Yamiru has done? Chuxia glanced at her lightly, then walked away. Hello. What are you doing? Rao Ying grabbed her. It's less than 10 minutes. Where are you going? I promised to talk to you, but it doesn't mean I'm willing to listen to you pretending to be a big-tailed wolf here. Who are you? Are you qualified to have something with my Baxi? You have to understand, now you are begging me, not I begging you. You are not qualified to bargain with me, understand? Chuxia tapped her hand on her sleeve with her chin. Take it away. Rao Ying's expression froze. Then he quickly apologized. I'm sorry. I have had the best relationship with my sister since I was a child, so seeing her end up in today's situation makes me feel very uncomfortable, and my temper inevitably got a little rushed. Look at me. She rolled up her sleeves and the skirt of her shirt, revealing patches of bruises. This is the one that was beaten by Jiao Gang. I ask you if you are worthy of Zhou Mikang, and if you have done anything for Zhou Mikang. In fact, I just want to tell you that being able to marry Zhou Mikang is really a great blessing. Although Zhou Mikang has a stubborn temper, he really protects his woman. I won't beat my own woman. If you don't show up, he will definitely be my brother-in-law. If he becomes my brother-in-law, I don't have to marry Jiao Gang if he becomes my brother-in-law. Jiao Gang didn't dare to treat me like this. Before you appeared, no girl could pose a threat to my sister. The fruit my sister has been waiting for so many years is picked by you. Do you think she can bear it? Indeed, what she did was outrageously wrong, but you were not harmed. On the contrary, it sent the Xiao family and his son to prison. Speaking of which, This matter is beneficial to the Zhou family. To be kind to others is to be kind to oneself. Shui is still the same age. If she is betrayed, her life will be over, and this black spot will be with her for the rest of her life. Lin Chuxia, I know that I'm not qualified to ask you anything, but, please look at me for the sake of my sister's fate, and hold me high, okay? I promise, my sister will never trouble you again in the future. I will send her to grandma's house, and never let her appear in front of your eyes again, okay? Chu Xia looked her up and down. You really love your sister? Yes, I love her very much. You are a good sister. Chu Xia nodded with a smile, but you asked the wrong person, and this matter is beyond my decision. Sorry, I have to go to work. You are such a cold-blooded animal. Rao Ying stood behind her, gnashing her teeth and said, she also has self-esteem. Saying such low-key words is already her bottom line. Chu Xia was not moved at all, and she felt a little broken. Can't stop. Whatever you say. Chu Xia turned her head and looked at her indifferently. When your sister was helping others to murder me, did you ever think about what would happen to me if the other party succeeded? After finishing speaking, she didn't look back. Disappeared at the corner of the second floor. Rao Ying shook her body, closed her eyes, and forced herself to stay awake. If the Xiao family's father and son succeed, of course she knows what will happen to Lin Chuxia, but from her point of view, since she didn't make it, and she begged her at such a low price, she should give Rao Shui a way out. Since she doesn't know good from bad, don't think she's rude. Originally, she felt that Zhou Mikang's life had finally stabilized, and she didn't want to go too far, but now, they forced her to take this step. In the middle of the road in early summer, I met Jingzhe, looked her in the eyes. Jingzhe asked, who messed with you, just like an angry toad? Have you ever seen such a beautiful toad? Chu Xia rolled his eyes at him. Going to work, I don't like to talk to you. You have a bad temper. Jingzhe shook his head and walked towards his office. Two young men approaching him caught his attention. He sized him up and stared at one of them, who was a little delicate and wearing gold-rimmed glasses. The man asked tentatively, Zhangqi. It's me. The handsome man smiled at him. You have really good eyesight. I can recognize you in this attire. You didn't recognize me, did you? Another black and strong man smiled triumphantly. It seems that my makeup is a success. Ma Chao. Yes, I recognized it too. The strong black man patted his head. That's right, it's me. Why are you two here? Jingzhe pulled them up and walked to his office. We haven't seen each other for 5 or 6 years, right? Let's go and sit in my office for a while. The two of them didn't move. Zhang Qi moved closer to him and lowered his voice. I will have more time to chat with you in the future, but not now. Ma Chao and I are responsible for protecting your beautiful toad. Jingzhe was stunned for a moment, and laughed dumbly. You want that girl to hear, and see how she complains to Zhou Mikang. By the way, what happened to her just now? Who made her angry? Ma Chao Chong nodded to Jiangqi. I'll go there first. You talk to the second brother. Okay. Zhang Qi waved his hand at him, lowered his voice, and repeated the conversation between Chu Xia and Rao Ying to Jingzhe. This is my younger sister. Jingzhe gave a thumbs up. I was always worried that she would suffer from being too kind. Now it seems that my worry is superfluous. Yeah, I thought she would be hit by that woman, but I didn't expect her to be so angry. But it's interesting that she was so angry, and she obviously took advantage of it. You can't say that. Rao Ying is not qualified to look for her. She is angry that she is obviously unreasonable and still comes to trouble her. Jingzhe laughed. The character of this girl and Zhou Mikang are really different. There is a bit of resemblance. No wonder Zhou Mikang took aim at her early. I wondered, Lao Zhou has always been inaccurate in judging people. How could he be so accurate this time? Admit defeat and you go. Zhang Qi smiled and punched him. Don't tell her. Ma Chao and I want to see when she can find out our identities. Okay. Jingzhe punched him back. I leave my sister's safety to you, but, just the two of you, how could you be willing to do this? Boss arranged, can you not listen to it? Zhang Qi's face wrinkled into a bitter gourd, I want to follow the mission, but sighed, and said, however, in order to let the boss feel at ease to be yourself it's worth it, I really didn't expect that the boss would fall into the hands of such a little girl. Jingzhe's face fell down immediately, why, don't you look down on my sister? Don't dare. Zhang Qi hurriedly waved his hands and stepped back, I don't have the guts to let you and the boss protect me like this, can I be an ordinary person? You are busy, you are busy. Yeah, family. Old man Ye looked at him sitting on the sofa with a gloomy face, without saying a word. The old lady Ye beside him took his hand and stroked it gently. Dad, she is willing to marry and live in peace and stability, so don't be angry with her, okay? Ye Mairu's mother Jiang Yuxian pleaded for her daughter with a begging face. Father Ye Zhongliang lowered his head and said nothing, but he could tell from his face that he didn't like such a hasty marriage for his daughter. Ye Mairu knelt in front of the elders, crying pear blossoms with rain, Grandpa, I am afraid that you will not be happy, so I dare not take him home now. Grandpa, if it wasn't for making up for the mistakes I made, how could I will marry a man beyond recognition? I did this, but you don't even forgive me. Grandpa, am I your granddaughter? Do you feel sorry for me? Hey, Mr. Ye finally sighed heavily, if you don't feel sorry for you, do you really think you can really live outside all these years? Forget it, Grandpa doesn't want to pursue the past, this time it's just like this, from now on, live an honest life, don't mess around anymore. Ye Mairu stopped crying immediately, thank you, Grandpa. Get up, old master Ye said. Ouch, after kneeling for too long, her legs were a little numb, Ye Mairu tilted her body and sat on the ground. Jiang Yuxian quickly pulled her daughter up, with a distressed expression on her face, you are just a fool, my family you are all married, and you still do such things, who are you making trouble with? Didn't Grandpa say that the mistakes I made must be made up for with practical actions? Ye Mairu moved to the old lady's side and hugged the old lady's arm coquettishly, Grandma, I have been worried for the past 2 days, I am afraid that Grandpa will drive him out again. Your grandpa just wanted to let you have a long memory, how could he really drive you out again? The old lady smiled and put her arms around her granddaughter, if you really think that way, how can I let you stay at home? First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 329. The first update arrives. Originally, there was only one update today. When I found out that I can code 2 updates, I will update another chapter and upload it later. Hearing what the old lady said, Ye Mairu also realized that if the old man didn't plan to forgive her, how could he allow her to stay at home for 2 days? When I broke up with her last time, she was really not allowed to stay for a minute longer. Grandpa, you scared me to death. Ye Mairu looked at old Master Ye with a more coquettish gaze, I really thought that Grandpa didn't plan to want me anymore. You. Jiang Yuxian caressed her daughter's head distressedly, I will have a long memory in the future, and I can't make my own way anymore, you know. Ye Mairu's eyes filled with tears, I know that because of me, Grandpa has always felt ashamed of the Zhou family, and when he was with Grandpa Zhou, he always looked shorter than him, that kind of feeling, makes me very uncomfortable. I caused the disaster, and of course I should make up for it. Originally, I thought that if Zhou Mikang still accepted me, I would marry into the Zhou family, be like a horse, and pay back the debt owed to the Zhou family. However, when I came back, Zhou Mikang was already married, so this road was blocked. I have been to Zhou's house and met his new wife. To be honest, my heart ached. If it weren't for me, he probably wouldn't have chosen such an impolite rural girl as his wife. I know that he just wanted to take revenge on me in this way. He just wanted to make everyone think that I am not even as good as a rural girl. He does. I don't hate him because I do owe him something. When I was wondering how to repay him, something happened to the Zhou family. I didn't when everyone else was avoiding it. I went to see Zhou Mikang, and I had two plans at the time: either I would marry him and I would stay with him no matter what situation he fell into, or I would marry Huang Xinlong, on one condition. The Huang family wants to help the Zhou family escape from prison. No matter what it is, my grandparents and parents will probably not agree, so I can only do it secretly. Zhou Mikang still resents me and doesn't accept me, so I can only choose Huang Xinlong. Of course, I am not completely selfless to help the Zhou family. After these years, I have come to realize that besides what I owe the Zhou family, I also really love Zhou Mikang, since I cannot marry him. Just let him owe me his life and remember me. Grandpa, this is what I really think. I say this just to let you know that your granddaughter is not a heartless person. You don't owe anyone. You child, you are so self-righteous. Mr. Ye frowned and stared at his granddaughter. Grandpa has lived to this age, and his eyesight is still good. On the second day of Xiaomi's wedding, I went to Zhou's house. According to my observation, he really likes Lin Chuxia. And Lin Chuxia is not the kind of useless little village girl you mentioned. On the contrary, although her words and deeds are not considered to be in the style of everyone, they are absolutely graceful, making it impossible to find fault. Myru, it's not Zhou Mikang who can't let go now, but you. You are looking at Lin Chuxia through colored glasses, so what you see is only her background, and your evaluation of her is only in your imagination. Wake up, the relationship between Zhou Mikang and you has long been a thing of the past. He once refused marriage, not because he couldn't let you go, but because you let him down on human nature. Now, he has found the woman who gave him his confidence back. How about you? Should we also let go of the past and start a new life with an open heart? As for the fact that you can only help the Zhou family by marrying Huang Xinlong, that's simply your own imagination, not to mention him, even his father. It's impossible to help the Zhou family if you want to. Yamiru looked unconvinced. If it weren't for Huang Xinlong, would Uncle Zhou and Zhou Mikang have returned home so early? Although there is help from the Wang family, Grandpa Wang simply has more energy than he wants. Zhou Jingping and Zhou Mikang came out early, and they have nothing to do with the Huang family. That's because the Long family is intervening. Silly girl, you are really naive. Long family, Yamiru was stunned. What's the matter with Guan Long's family? Lin Chuxia is the granddaughter of Mr. Wan, and Mr. Wan is Mr. Long's dead brother. He asked Mr. Long for help. If Mr. Long hadn't intervened to protect the Zhou family and his son, do you think they would have come out with all their tales? Since ancient times, county magistrates are not as good as they are now. Shan Xiao's father and son can kill half of them. Speaking of which, if Zhou Mikang hadn't married Lin Chuxia, it's really impossible for the Zhou family to survive the catastrophe this time. Sun said. If it wasn't for the Zhou family, how could Elder Wan recognize Lin Chuxia as his granddaughter? Speaking of it this way, the Zhou family had prepared a way out for themselves before they retreated. Mr. Wan is willing to recognize Lin Chuxia as his granddaughter because he was in the same village as Lin Chuxia during the years when he was sent down, and it was Lin Chuxia who did not hide his identity and often visited him. The opponent is a person who is particularly lacking in emotion. What does he care about? Do you think that with the Zhou family, Wan Lao can really accept Lin Chuxia as his granddaughter? Is that so? That rural girl still deserves such credit. Yamiru sat in a daze, her expression in a trance. Now she basically believed what her grandfather said, that is to say, Huang Xinlong lied to her. The Huang family did not help the Zhou family at all, and she just sent her home to marry that ugly man who was as ugly as a ghost. The granddaughter's sadness made Mrs. Ye a little distressed, so she persuaded, this matter can only be said that Lin Chuxia's luck is good. If Xiaomi didn't feel sorry for her and worried that she would be in danger, she wouldn't let her accept Mr. Jing as her husband. Grandpa, In that case, naturally you won't be able to meet Mr. Wan. In the final analysis, the Zhou family's relationship played a decisive role. It's okay if she doesn't say it, but Yamiru felt that her sacrifice was meaningless even more. After a long time, Zhou Mikang actually valued her little wife so much, so what is her sacrifice? Miru, it's not like you don't know how responsible Xiaomi is. No matter who he marries, he will make every plan for the other party. Ryu's complexion improved a lot. A loving mother is a loser. Ye Zhongliang snorted coldly and stared at his wife. It's you who always protect her like this, which makes her grow up and become ignorant. It is your fault that she has lived an unhappy life. Wrong. She has already paid such a high price for her mistakes, so you can't comfort her. Chiang Yuxian looked at her husband aggrievedly. Don't you know how uncomfortable she is at this time? You have to smear her wounds. Why don't you protect her with the salt? He said and looked at the old lady. Yeah, Mom, look at him, he has always had a look of beauty since he was a child, and he is still like this now when he grows up. If I have the same temper as him, which child can stand it? Okay, things have come to this point. Even if you feel sorry for your daughter, you two shouldn't fight over this kind of thing anymore. Marsya looked at her son. You also change your temper in the future, or you don't open your mouth. Opening your mouth is training the child. How do you let the child get close to you? I don't point at her to get close to me. What else can she do besides embarrassing me? Ye Zhongliang is still brooding about what his daughter has done in the past. The Ye family, just like his name, is loyal and kind, and they are born on the sidelines. Yamiru is such an anomaly. Which family in the circle doesn't use her as a negative example? A good girl doesn't serve her second husband. His daughter really doesn't know who to follow. Why did she do such shameful things? When his daughter didn't come back, he was worried and distressed, and he was really sitting in front of him, and he was so upset that he couldn't get angry. Alas, this is really an enemy from the previous life. Yamiru's heart was hurt by her father's attitude, and she began to cry again. Ye Zhongliang got up irritably. I'll go back to the army to have a look. I won't be back tonight. Go. Mr. Ye nodded at him, got up and went to the study. He said everything that should be said. For this granddaughter, he is just fulfilling the responsibility of a grandfather. If he is not disappointed in her, then is impossible. Not to mention anything else, as far as what she has done, it will be a knot in his heart for the rest of his life. However, he is her grandfather, so he has no choice but to forgive him. If I make a mistake once, will I be thrown into the 18th level of hell? Yamiru stared at a pair of red and swollen eyes. I have already fallen to such a point. Grandpa and Dad still can't mind. Don't they really want to watch? Can I be happy if I die? Silly boy, what are you talking about? Marsya put her arms around her granddaughter's shoulders. Give them time, and they will be fine. In fact, they don't feel better than grandma and your mother at all. It's just that they need time. Be patient. Yamiru looked at the old lady pitifully. Grandma, you also think I'm to blame, don't you? Ask yourself, if you are a child from someone else's family, you will definitely feel this way, but if you are from your own family, of course, you will be more tolerant. The old lady patted her granddaughter on the back. No, it's because we are too busy to take care of you, let you go the wrong way, don't blame you. My poor daughter. Chiang Yuxian wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes, staring blankly at her daughter. Are you planning to stay in Wang's house in the future? Let's do this for the time being. Yamiru sighed heavily. Huang Xinlong treats me well. If I divorce him now, I probably won't be able to turn over for the rest of my life. No matter what you decide, Mom will support you. Chiang Yuxian poured a glass of water for her daughter. Drink some water, go back to the room to rest, and often go back to live with your natal family in the future. If you have something to do, call Grandma and Mom, don't always hold back. You kid, you just like to make up your own mind so much that you always make trouble. Hey, Who is this coming back? The door opened, and a 28-year-old woman walked in. She was Yamiru's sister, Yamiun. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 330. The second watch arrives. Why are you back? Chiang Yuxian greeted her and took the bag in her hand. Why didn't you bring Tong Tong here? Your grandma is still talking about her these days. I just came back from a business trip. I haven't come home yet. Come to see grandma first, Yamiun said as she stepped forward and put her arms around old Madame Ye, shaking her left and right. Old Madame, you won't just forget about your granddaughter once you see her big granddaughter, right? This child, Mrs. Ye chuckled, with deep creases forming on her face. Which granddaughter isn't a granddaughter? You have loved Myra's jealousy since you were a child. When you are so old, you are still fighting with me. My sister is jealous, are you blushing? Who made you all favor my sister? Yamiun saw her sister's red and swollen eyes at this moment, then let go of the old lady, sat next to Yamiru, and hugged her. What's the matter? It's okay, but I'm not in a good mood and I want to cry. Yamiru pushed her sister's hand away. I'm going to wash my face. What's wrong? Yamiun blinked at Mrs. Ye. Grandpa still doesn't accept her. Your grandpa has already forgiven Myru. She is the one who thinks about the past and is a little sad. Mrs. Ye told her eldest granddaughter in a low voice. She is your younger sister, let her be a little bit more, don't always use sour words to hurt her. She who made her ignorant of good and bad? Yamiun curled her lips. Zhou Mikang is such a good man, she doesn't want it, and went to find some yellow-haired foreigner, and now he has suffered. I don't want to stab her, but, I'm afraid after not stabbing her, she would still do such detrimental things. It has only gotten better in the past 2 years. Before, I only had to attend gatherings of friends in my circle. People will always make irresponsible remarks, and she is the one who made the mistake. But she wanted to give me a shit bowl and be her sister. I was really unlucky for 8 lifetimes. Okay, it's over, don't talk about it. Chiang Yuxian took a slice of Osmanthus cake from the folded box and stuffed it into her daughter's mouth. Eat something, sweet mouth, sweetheart. Mom, you're the only one who hurt her like this. Yamiun muttered unconvinced. When you were young, you let her do everything, and let me follow her in everything. Now look, is it good? If anyone doesn't follow her, she will make life unsafe for them. We can be regarded as an ancestor by following her. Yamiru lingered in the bathroom for a long time before she came out. She was very clear about her elder sister's dissatisfaction with her. Because of her, her elder sister was particularly unhappy in marriage. In the end, she had to marry her brother-in-law who was an ordinary worker. So speaking of it, she owes her sister. It is simply a debt that cannot be explained or repaid in a lifetime. Is brother-in-law okay? After sitting down, Yamiru asked her sister softly. He's not like that. I know how to squat in the factory and toss around all day long. Yamiun snorted, in order to study some kind of screw. I didn't go home for 10 days in a row. I see, if this continues, he might not even be able to find the door. It's a good thing he is willing to make progress. Mrs. Ye comforted, although his family status is not as good as that of your classmates' husbands, but in terms of obedience, no one can compare with him, right? This people, you have to evaluate the good and the bad together, you can't just look at other people's strengths and your own weaknesses. Okay grandma, I'm just complaining. Tong Tong is 3 years old, and my heart has settled down. As I said, compared to Yan Xian and Zhao Yulu, I'm still the happiest. The two of them married into their in-laws' house, and they were basically babysitters. The mother-in-law and the old woman have many rules. Don't worry, I won't blame Myru anymore. I even want to thank Myru. If it weren't for her, I wouldn't maybe marry a man of his family background. Yan Xian and Zhao Yulu are Yamiun's playmates since she was a child. The three of them could wear a pair of pants when they were young, and they are also the most determined sisters when they grow up. But girls are like this. I can't bear to compare. Sister, are you really, don't blame me, Yamiru stared at her sister pitifully, I've always been very guilty. If it wasn't for me, my sister would definitely be able to marry into the Mei family. Hearing what she said, Yamiun's complexion immediately sank, and then she stood up with a dry smile, Grandma, Mom, I have something else to do, so I'll go back first, and I'll come to see you some other day. Myru, why don't you open which pot you carry? After sending the eldest daughter away, Chiang Yuxian complained to the younger daughter, it's not like you don't know what your sister is thinking, why bring it up? Mom, I'm sorry, I just expressed my opinion in a hurry and didn't think much about it. Yamiru bowed her head and apologized, unable to see her expression. Oh, Mrs. sighed and said nothing. The eldest granddaughter likes Mei Yitong, but Mei Yitong likes the younger granddaughter, which is always the eldest granddaughter's not. She is aware of her little granddaughter's temper, and she didn't mean to mention that just now, she just wanted to stab her eldest granddaughter with it. These two sisters have been like enemies since they were young. As elders, even if they are biased occasionally, they still have fleshy palms and backs. This kind of unclear thing is really a headache. I'll go out for a walk to get some fresh air. Yamiru also sensed her mother and grandma's complaints towards her, so she decided to run away and go out to avoid the limelight for a while. She did it on purpose. Who made my sister blame her all the time? When I was young, I liked to be jealous of her. When I was older, I liked to watch her jokes. Is that what a real sister should do? As for Yamiun marrying a man from Li Xiaoping's ordinary family, maybe it was a bit of a loss, but can you really blame her completely? If Yamiun was a little more outstanding, would there really be no descendant from the family to marry her? She is ugly but refuses to admit it. What annoys her most is that Yamiun feels good about herself. Wandering around the square outside the yard for a while, and was about to go home, Yamiru saw a staggering woman running towards the side. She squinted her eyes, and hurried to meet her. Xiaoying, what are you doing, what's the matter? Myru, Rao Yingru hugged Yamiru as if seeing her own mother, crying loudly. At this time, she didn't care whether she was outside or whether someone would see her. After finally running here, she was so tired that she was about to collapse. After class in the afternoon, as soon as Chu Xia returned to the office, a little nurse ran over to send a message, and someone was looking for her outside. Song Yankai waved at her, go ahead. During the time before Zhou Mikang left, I decided to give you a break, and after he leaves, I will make up all the time he owes, and then don't think I'm too strict. Thank you teacher. Chu Xia thanked and ran out in a hurry. She also thought it was Zhou Mikang who came to look for her, but when she got outside the hall, she didn't find Zhou Mikang's shadow, but Yamiru was standing there smiling. The big tree in front of the door waved at her. Chu Xia walked over and gave her a faint smile, you still don't give up? I've said everything I need to say, what else do you want to talk about? You misunderstood. Yamiru smiled at her, I came to you to tell you that it is my credit that your husband can come back safely. In order to let him be free, I married a man I didn't love. His name was Huang Xinlong. He was disfigured, no one would marry him, but I married because I wanted to use the power of the Huang family to help Zhou Mikang. What I can do for Zhou Mikang, can you do it? No wonder Rao Ying asked her today what she had done for Zhou Mikang. It turned out that she was comparing her with Yamiru. Chu Xia gave Yamiru a thumbs up, not bad, really good, but don't tell me about this. Go to Zhou Mikang, tell him what you did, or he will be moved. Me, it doesn't really feel like much. The smile on Yamiru's face suddenly froze. Chu Xia smiled and patted her on the shoulder, I know the purpose of your coming to tell me, to make me feel ashamed, right? However, I have to tell you with regret that I don't have that feeling at all. Also, I'm not worried at all that Joe Mikang will be moved and grateful to you because of this, not to mention that you didn't help him at all. Even if you did, I'm not worried. The wife he married back home is me. No matter what you do, he will never have anything to do with you, and it will only make him hate you more. Stalker, shameless woman, he hates the most. Of course, I also hate such a woman. After speaking, someone waved his hand, and she ran away. Village girl. After a while, Yamiru came back to her senses, and she suddenly realized why she couldn't get any better deals in front of Lin Chuxia. It turned out that she didn't understand the difference in their identities at all. For a village girl to be able to do this, she really has learned a lot. Of course, she came to Lin Chuxia not just to help Rao Ying. From the day she married Huang Xinlong, she has been thinking about the opportunity to ask Zhou Mikang for credit. Even if Rao Ying didn't look for her, she would come to Lin Chuxia. It's just that Rao Ying's appearance made her quicken her pace. She wanted to make Lin Chuxia feel ashamed and afraid, and she wanted to undermine her confidence little by little, until one day, she willingly returned Zhou Mikang to her. But now it seems that things are a little different from what she imagined. Snort. She couldn't believe it. Zhou Mikang could really turn a blind eye to her efforts. She absolutely does not believe that Zhou Mikang has forgotten her, and she does not believe that Zhou Mikang married this little village girl because he fell in love with this little village girl. He tried his best to find the resident, but Zhou Mikang was not there. Knowing that she was not welcomed by Su Zhenghong at the moment, Yamiru did not go to Su Zhenghong's office to harass him, but stood outside Zhou Mikang's office and waited for him. No matter what, she wanted to let Zhou Mikang know that what did she do for him, and let him know today that she wanted that little village girl to slap herself in the mouth, and let that little village girl understand who is the most important woman in Zhou Mikang's heart. In the past, Zhou Mikang didn't forgive her because she didn't do anything that moved him. This time, she bet her whole life, so it's impossible for him not to be moved. Just as he was pacing back and forth, an off-road vehicle drove over, and the door opened. Lin Chuxia got off first, and Jingzhe got off next. In a hurry, Yamiru smiled sarcastically. Didn't you say you don't worry? Why are you running here so fast? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 331. I just finished coding. Is there anyone still waiting? Yesterday's subscription will make Nuan feel lost. Dear friends, I will subscribe every day, okay. Chu Xia glanced at Yamiru expressionlessly, then turned to look at Jingzhe. Brother, do you think this woman is weird? I came to find my husband, and she has to meddle in her own business. Brother, you are a doctor, do you think there is something wrong with her mind? Jingzhe fondly rubbed Chu Xia's head. Silly girl, you are also a doctor to be, and you have a disease that makes you jealous, don't you know? Oh, Chu Xia nodded again and again. How could I have forgotten this, brother? It seems that I am not serious enough in studying. Well, we will work harder in the future. I will. The two walked to Zhou Mikang's office. After asking and answering, Chu Xia took out the key from his pocket and handed it to Jingzhe. The door opened, Jingzhe came out with a thermos bottle. Chu Xia was busy washing cups and teapots. So bullying. Yamiru's lungs were going to explode from watching. If it was said that the two of them didn't perform for her on purpose, she wouldn't believe it even if she was killed. Hey, why do you have the key to Zhou Mikang's office? Do you know that it is illegal for him to do so, and his superiors can dismiss him? Chu Xia brushed the glass slowly. The wind in the corner of his eyes was not willing to give Yamiru one, let alone strike up a conversation. Lin Chuxia, Are you ruining Joe Mikang like this? Hey, are you deaf? The most irritating way is not to quarrel with the other party, but to let the other party quarrel by themselves and ignore him. Chuseok implemented this very thoroughly. Yamiru couldn't take it anymore. She looked around. Anger arises from the heart, and evil arises from the gallbladder. Grab the little flower hoe on the windowsill and throw it at Chuseok. The imaginary scene where the other party was smashed by her head and blood did not appear. Her wrist was grabbed by a big hand, twisted and turned, and the flower pick fell to the ground, and she was pushed out of the door. Staring blankly at the black face standing in front of her, Yamiru had an expression of disbelief. Ma Chao. Yes. Ma Chao didn't have a good impression of the sister-in-law-to-be who had betrayed the boss, so he nodded lightly. He didn't say a word. Why are you here? No comment. You came to see your elder brother. Yamiru's tone suddenly became more affectionate. Ma Chao, we haven't seen each other for several years, sister-in-law really misses you. Ma Chao frowned, but said nothing. Hey, whose sister-in-law are you? Zhang Qi flashed out. The almond eyes behind the glasses were wide-eyed, obviously angry, but in the eyes of others, he looked cute. Chuseok bit her lip and tried hard not to laugh. People are helping themselves, so they have to be kind. Zhang Qi, different from recognizing Ma Chao at a glance, Yamiru recognized Zhang Qi after looking at him for a long time. Why are you here? The latter sentence was said by the two at the same time, and the voice fell. Zhang Qi grinned. Can't you be a little creative? Shouldn't you two be in Shangjing? Why did you come here? Yamiru stared at the two of them. Didn't Joe Mikang leave you in Shangjing? I didn't hear that you were transferred here. Why are you here? Can we stop rambling over and over again? Zhang Qi sighed. Sister, yeah, we don't want to mention what happened to you back then, and we don't want to mention how miserable you made our boss. I just beg you, don't slander our boss again, okay? When did I slander him? Yamiru looked puzzled. Our sister-in-law is right in front of you. If you call yourself sister-in-law, isn't that slandering our boss? Zhang Qi spread his hands. Ma Zhao is stupid, but I am not stupid. Anyone who dares to slander the boss will have trouble with me. He. Yamiru gave him a winking glance. Didn't you say that I will always be your sister-in-law? Why don't you admit it now? At that time, I was young and I didn't know people well, so I couldn't count what I said. Zhang Qi waved his hand, and out of the corner of his eye, he saw Joe Mikang coming from a distance, and pulled his horse toward him. The boss is here, let's go to the teacher, let's do our business over there. Ma Chao nodded, hesitated for a moment, then rushed to sit on the chair again, stared at Chuseok with big eyes blinking and nodded, and ran away like a fly. They used to be Joe Mikang's subordinates, the kind who had a lifelong friendship, and Joe Mikang always liked to invite them to join him every meal. Zhang Qi is a quirky child, Ma Chao is more honest, but both of them listen to me very much, and they do things for my sister-in-law a lot, he. While talking to herself, Yamiru sat down on the chair beside Chuseok and stared straight at her. You are outside our circle, and you will always be. Chuseok stuck out her tongue and spread her hands. I'm so sorry, it's all my fault for making you feel inferior to this extent. Alas, why am I so good? At this moment, Joe Mikang appeared at the door, and she waved her paw. Honey, I'm so good, I've blown this woman's self-esteem away, so I have no choice but to play in circles with me here. Joe Mikang's heart fluttered a few times when she called her soft and crisp husband. A smile unconsciously spread along the corners of his mouth, and when he looked at Yamiru, his face was instantly cold. What are you doing here? Yamiru had a panoramic view of his expression, and felt heartbroken for an instant. She looked at Joe Mikang with tears in her eyes. Do you know what I did to restore you to yourself? Joe Mikang shook his head. I don't know. But I know that I have already told you very clearly. Yamiru, let me warn you, if you talk to my wife again about disgusting her, don't blame me for being cruel. You. Yamira burst into tears. For you, I married a disfigured man who is not valued by the family, and you treat me like this? Jo Mikang sat beside Chusia and raised his eyebrows at Yamiru. You mean you married Huang Xinlong to help me? You know that I'm married to Huang Xinlong. Yamiru looked at Jo Mikang in a daze. You actually already knew that I was married to Huang Xinlong. That's right, I knew it earlier. What's the problem? You still treat me like this after knowing it. Yamiru pointed at him with trembling fingers. Not only are you not grateful for a woman who sacrificed her life's happiness for you, but you also want to sprinkle salt on her wounds. Your heart, is it made of iron? Even a stranger should be grateful, right? What's more, we used to be close lovers. People say that a couple of one day is 100 days of kindness. What's more, we are not a couple for a day at all. You are really so unfeeling? Tisk tisk. Chusia couldn't help but smacked her lips. This woman seemed really open-minded, even talking about such things. Jo Mikang looked at Chusia. I don't have any real relationship with her. Chusia patted him comfortingly. I won't fall for her tricks, no matter whether you have a substantive relationship with her or not. The fact now is that you are my husband, so I won't fall for her tricks, don't worry, haha. It's true. Jo Mikang frowned. You don't believe me? Believe it? Believe it? Of course I believe it. Chusia nodded like a chicken pecking at rice. Don't worry, as she said, she deliberately put her arms around Jo Mikang's arm, and said affectionately, you only love me, I know that. You. Yamiru pointed at Chusia and was speechless. Her mind was in chaos at the moment. She married Huang Xinlong just to make Jo Mikang owe her a lifetime of love. But looking at the situation in front of her, the other party doesn't even know the slightest bit of love, so isn't her sacrifice in vain? No matter how she was with other men in the past, without the marriage certificate, she is an unmarried eldest daughter. Now, if she is separated from Huang Xinlong, she will be a serious second married woman. Moreover, the power of the Huang family is there. If she and Huang Xinlong divorce, who would dare to marry her? Living alone for a lifetime is definitely not what she wants. In an instant, her face was ashen. When she was born, she was dark and thin, and she looked neither like her father nor her mother. Until she was 6 years old, she was the type that ugly dogs don't like to look at. At that time, except for Jo Mikang, none of the boys in the compound wanted to play with her, including Mei Yitong. Then, from the age of 6, she gradually became more beautiful, her complexion became fairer, and her skin became more delicate. My mother said that many children grow ugly and look good when they are young, and they look ugly when they are young. She is the typical type who looks ugly when they are young. When she was 14 or 15 years old, there were almost no boys of the same age who didn't like her, which made her especially enjoy that feeling. That feeling of being surrounded by stars. Later, she followed her family's advice and got engaged to Jo Mikang. At that time, she really thought that she didn't love him. She agreed to get engaged to him, but she just got used to the feeling of being with him and his patience with him. And pampering, and also, repaying his love for caring about her and accompanying her when he was a child. After learning that she and Jo Mikang were engaged, many people stopped interacting with her, including Mei Yitong, who had always had a crush on her, also backed down. She was very uncomfortable from the recovery of the stars to the cold, so she broke through each of them and told Mei Yitong and Wang Ji that she didn't like Jo Mikang, but them. She chose them because she had a crush on both of them, but she wasn't sure which one she liked, so she wanted to use this to redefine her mind and make the final choice. As a result, Wang Ji retreated wisely. Mei Yitong came up against the wind. However, she found that she didn't have feelings for him either. Because she was looking for love, in the end, she made herself extremely embarrassed. These years, after all these things, she knows very well who is the one who really loves her and treats her well, so even if moths fly into the flame and burn herself, she will make Joe Mikang change his mind and finally return to her side. But the result? First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan Nuan. Chapter 332. Seeing his ex-girlfriend with a pale face and eyes full of resentment staring at his wife, Joe Mikang frowned tightly. He must let this woman understand that she is already in the past tense, and will always be in the past tense. Otherwise, when he leaves, even with Zhang Qi and Ma Chao protecting his little wife, it will be difficult for him to truly relax. Yamiru, I haven't been rough with you until now because of the relationship between the Zhou and Ye families. If you continue to be so entangled, I will talk to Huang Xinlong. You. Yamiru stared at Zhou Mikang in disbelief. You lied to me, you wouldn't do that. I know. I will do that. Zhou Mikang emphasized again word by word, I will really do that, I never joke around. Yamiru swayed unobtrusively, I have sacrificed so much for you, do you really have the heart to treat me like this? Your character is still so extreme. After going out for so many years, you realize that I am good, and you want to come back to me. Do you think that this world only revolves around you? Forget it, I don't want to talk about this anymore. I have to tell you plainly, since your second betrayal, there will be no more possibility between us. I can't accept a woman who is not clean and who has had countless men, just thinking about it makes me sick. Being exposed to old scars in front of her rival in love is something Yamiru can't accept no matter what. The heavy sense of humiliation made her breathless, and there was a boom in her head, and she became soft the moment she fell to the ground. She unconsciously turned her gaze to Zhou Mikang. In the eyes, there is only indifference. You made her faint. Chu Xia spread her hands. What to do? Zhou Mikang walked up to Yamiru without saying a word, and kicked Yamiru. After 2 pops, Yamiru let out a howl and sat up. She came back to her senses and looked up at Zhou Mikang, who was standing beside her with a frosty face. Yamiru's heart ached. She also fell into the ice cellar. It turned out that she was really being self-indulgent. However, there is still a trace of love for her. It is absolutely impossible to do such a thing at this time, especially in front of Lin Chuxia. If you don't want Huang Xinlong to lock you up, don't bother my wife anymore. Zhou Mikang walked up to Chu Xia, who was staring at him blankly, and stroked her head affectionately. Don't be afraid, I won't beat you, never. Chu Xia tried her best to blink her big eyes, so that her almost frozen eyeballs became flexible again. I'm not afraid, it's just that I didn't expect it. What did you not expect? Zhou Mikang looked at her amusedly. Isn't this exactly what you want to see? That's right. Chu Xia looked serious. If you really feel sorry for everyone, I really have to think about whether we want to be together. Just at this time, Jingzhe came back with a thermos bottle. Seeing Yamiru, who was sitting on the ground, she kicked her over. Get up. Women can't sit on cold ground, don't you know? The corner of Chu Xia's mouth twitched. Brother, do you care about it? Do you mean it? Do you do it on purpose? Do you do it on purpose, or do you do it on purpose? Appreciating Jingzhe's help, Zhou Mikang joked with a smile, Uncle, it takes you a long time to fetch water. It's only 2 minutes away from the water room. 5 minutes is enough for you to go back and forth. It's been 10 minutes since I came here, and you just came back. Are you burning it now? Some people want to perform, so I always give her enough time to perform. Jingzhe put down the thermos bottle with a smile, and looked at Chu Xia. Sister, how did brother-in-law behave just now? Chu Xia thought for a while and said, not bad, I can give you 90 points. Jingzhe raised his eyebrows. How did you get the 10 points? The old accounts from the past have not been settled. Zhou Mikang snorted, it's settled, it's because she didn't realize it. Yamairu, who was completely ignored, listened to the insinuating question and answer of the three people, and she lost the slightest fighting spirit. She came to the door unwillingly, because she firmly believed that Joe Mikang loved her the most, and the previous refusal was just because hate her betrayal back then. Then, she sacrificed herself in exchange for his freedom as a repayment. She thought that after learning of her behavior, even if he could no longer marry her, he would feel regretful and heartbroken. Then, she had enough patience to wait, young couples as an old companion. Even if you can't be a young couple with him, it's good to be an old companion. Now it seems that she was wrong, or she was wrong outrageously. When a man loves a woman deeply, he will be very distressed if she is hurt even a little bit. However, when he no longer loves, even if she dies in front of him, he probably wouldn't feel too much. Joe Mikang should treat her like the latter. He can threaten her that if she dares to find his wife, she will talk to Huang Xinlong, which fully illustrates this point. No matter how much she fights and grabs, if his heart is not on her, it will be of no use at all, it will only make him hurt more and more deeply. Knowing this earlier, why did she marry Huang Xinlong? In the future, she would be desperate to face that man who was so ugly that she would even look at him with disgust every day. She got up and staggered out. Hey, after Yamairu's figure disappeared, Jingzhe couldn't help but sigh. She dares to marry someone like Huang Xinlong, she really has extraordinary confidence. That person has a bad temper, Chu Xia asked curiously. How did Huang Xinlong disfigure his face? There are several versions. The Huang family's unanimous statement is that when he was filling the boiling water, Huang Sui ran in from the outside and kicked over the thermos bottle. He was stepping on the stool and was anxious to get off. Turned himself into the pot. And the version that everyone thinks is the most credible is that Huang Xinlong boiled a pot of boiling water and wanted to throw his sister into it while the elders in the family were away. As a result, when he was standing on a stool to hug his sister in, Grandpa Huang and Grandma Huang came in a hurry, he turned into the pot by himself. Chu Xia swallowed her saliva in horror. Huang Sui is his own sister, right? Jingzhe nodded. Yes, Huang Sui is the only girl in the Huang family, and Grandpa Huang and Grandma Huang dote on her a little more. If there are any rare things, they are given to the granddaughter first, and then given to the grandson. Therefore, Huang Xinlong when he was a child to my younger sister Huang Sui. It can be said that I hate it to the bone. It's perverted. Yeah, after the disfigurement, Huang Xinlong's personality has become even weirder. He basically doesn't talk much in front of people, but if anyone offends him, he will definitely retaliate twice. He has that kind of severe scar system. As he grows older, the scars on his face not only don't get smaller, but get worse. Girls from the right family are not willing to marry him, and he was killed at birth, and girls from the wrong family are determined not to marry. Although Yamairu has a bad reputation. Jingzhe glanced at Joe Mikang's face and continued, but the Ye family's family background is there. If it is because of Yamairu's special experience, he will never marry to a wife with such a background, and after hesitating, he continued, it is said that Huang Xinlong's whole body was severely burned, and what he wants to marry is only a wife in name. Therefore, what happened to Yamairu before shouldn't be a big problem. However, he is extremely controlling and possessive. I believe that Yamairu's life will be difficult in the future. The current Huang Xinlong. It's just that in order to marry Yamairu home, he followed her in everything. If it's been a long time, or in private. I still don't know how to abuse Yamairu. After listening to Jingzhe's explanation of the ins and outs, Chu Xia sorted out the essence of Huang and Ye's marriage. She needed his help, he needed her to satisfy his desire to marry a well-matched woman, and the two hit it off. As for the future, probably have to walk and watch. Hearing what Jingzhe said, Huang Xinlong probably wouldn't let go, but Yamairu might not. She finally understood why Zhou Mikang threatened Yamairu by talking to Huang Xinlong. Thinking about it, the deal between Huang Xinlong and Yamairu should be that Huang Xinlong helped Yamairu rescue Yamairu's former sweetheart. Mairu wants to be with Huang Xinlong wholeheartedly. If Huang Xinlong finds out about Yamairu's entanglement with Zhou Mikang, one can imagine how he will treat her. Extreme people are the scariest. Speaking of which, Yamairu is really playing with fire. Chu Xia looked at Zhou Mikang, who had been expressionless and silent all the time. Does your heart hurt? She and I have nothing to do with each other for a long time. She chose the road by herself. Why should I feel bad? Zhou Mikang looked at Jingzhe. Take it home safely. Okay, Jingzhe got up and walked out. Sister, let's go, someone thinks I'm meddling in my own business. Sensing Zhou Mikang's faint anger, Chu Xia was a little disappointed. It turned out that he still cared about Yamairu, so he followed Jingzhe out without saying a word. As a result, before he reached the door, his arm hurt and she returned. Turning around, I saw Zhou Mikang staring at her with red eyes. You, what's wrong with you? Chu Xia swallowed nervously. If I said something wrong, I apologize to you. Do you still know that you have said the wrong thing? Zhou Mikang said the sentence almost gritted his teeth. Based on the principle that a good man does not suffer immediate losses, Chu Xia kept nodding. Of course I know that I said the wrong thing. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. Do you know what's wrong? Where did she go wrong? Chu Xia blinked her big eyes, a little confused. Yes, where did she go wrong, to make him so angry? What are you doing? Jingzhe turned back, staring at Zhou Mikang with anger in his eyes. If you can't let it go, don't marry Chu Xia, you look so despised. This is our husband and wife's business, don't interrupt. Zhou Mikang closed the door with a bang, locked the latch, and looked at Chu Xia, who was staring at him with a scrunched neck in fear, and his brows frowned even tighter. Chu Xia is really scared now. If this stubborn head really moves, with her small body, breaking a few bones will be a trivial matter, right? If it was normal, she would not have such worries, but at this moment, it is not impossible for her to do something irrational after being stimulated by the tragic experience of her first love. Hey! She forced out a smile that was almost like crying. A gentleman uses his mouth but doesn't move his hands. Seeing her like this, he laughed back angrily. Afraid that I will beat you? Ye Chu Xia nodded, then quickly shook his head. No, I know it's impossible for you to beat me up, I'm not afraid. Zhou Mikang stared at her seriously. Do you really think it's impossible for me to beat you, or do you say that deliberately because you're afraid that I'll beat you? Really, I really think you can't beat me up. Chu Xia is now answering questions completely according to her own instinct. The expression on Zhou Mikang's face softened a bit. Do you know why I'm angry? With a flash of inspiration, Chu Xia hurriedly said, because I don't trust you. In an instant, his dark eyes were as bright as dazzling shooting stars, and he stretched out his long arms, hugging her tightly. Finally, you are no longer confused. Chu Xia hesitated, wrapping his arms around his waist. I'm sorry, I just reflexively thought that you were feeling sorry for Yamairu. After all, there was a time when you did not care for her for many years. Touch feelings. Were you jealous just now? It's a little uncomfortable. You have to remember that all my efforts now are for you, my heart is on you, and you should also put your heart on me. First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 333. Chu Xia. Looking at Chu Xia from the rearview mirror for a long time, seeing her in a trance, Jingzhe finally couldn't help but tentatively said, if you don't want to continue, brother can help you deal with this matter. He was locked outside, and he couldn't hear what the two of them said. After opening the door, Zhou Mikang didn't give him a chance to talk, and he walked away. His heart was hanging in the air all the time. Chu Xia reflexively said, and then understood what Jing Zhe meant, and quickly waved his hands. No, no, I don't intend to leave Zhou Mikang, I'm just thinking about some problems that I can't figure out. Tell me about it, maybe I can help you. After a pause, Jing Zhe gave a supplementary explanation. Chu Xia, my brother really treats you like his own sister now, there is absolutely nothing wrong with it. Thought. Brother, I know. Chu Xia nodded quickly, I just don't understand the so-called feelings. You see, Zhou Mikang used to be single for Yamiru for so many years, and even refused to marry, but today, he exposed Yamiru like that for me. Such as scars, so, I was thinking, if one day he doesn't like me, will he treat me like that? Without waiting for Jing Zhe to answer, he said to himself, of course, I know that my thoughts are a bit. I'm sorry, if he really cared about Yamiru's thoughts and continued to care about her, I would definitely feel uncomfortable again. Hey, I'm still really hard to get rid of. It's not that you are difficult to deal with, you just lack confidence in the relationship between yourself and him. Jing Zhe looked her up. To be honest, at your age, and you have never been in love, you should be full of expectations for love. But you give me the feeling that you don't believe in love at all. This feeling. It's so weird, you're so young. How can you not believe in love? The key is that the relationship between your father and mother is still so good. In early summer, this is a place I have always wondered about. I don't believe in love, Chu Xia murmured and repeated. A flash of inspiration flashed in her mind, and she finally realized where her problem was. In her era, love was a luxury, and many couples who loved each other to the death were often unable to stand up to reality, and quickly became exhausted. She saw with her own eyes that it only took 1 year for her best friend to go from feeling obsessed to falling in love to committing suicide after falling out of love. That was her best friend. They were so good that they had no secrets with each other, so after her best friend committed suicide, although she still looked forward to love, she didn't dare to really believe in love, so until she was 22 years old, her feelings are still blank. Most of the marriages in this era are not concluded on the basis of love. However, it was relatively stable, so she accepted the marriage model of this era like an ostrich. This is also the fundamental reason why she agreed so readily when Zhou Mikang forced her to marry. Subconsciously, she felt that she didn't love. Will not be harmed. Meanwhile, she subconsciously felt that she could not find her own love in this age. Then, Zhou Mikang became her best choice. However, people are emotional animals. For a rookie who has never been in love, she doesn't know what true love is. Therefore, she always feels that Zhou Mikang is just a long-term adult she met in this era. Meal ticket. Now it seems that she agreed so readily because she had such a slight liking for him. It is not considered love, but it can be regarded as attraction. But today, Zhou Mikang treated Yamiru like that, and she really felt afraid that one day he would treat her like that. If she really had no feelings, how could she be afraid that he would treat her like that? Brother, thank you, I figured it out. Chu Xia smiled and frowned to thank Jing Zhe. She finally knew what she wanted and what she was going to do next. Of course, it would be nonsense to say that she has fallen deeply in love with Zhou Mikang. At this stage, she only has the sprout of love for Zhou Mikang, so she must protect this sprout, so that one day she can let the germ of love grows and grows, not dies in infancy. Just figure it out. Looking at her expression, Jing Zhe also knew that she really understood his problem. His identity is a little sensitive, so it's not good to get entangled in this problem, so he simply changed the subject. Zhou Mikang will be leaving in a few days. Do you plan to live on campus or come back to live? I live on campus from Monday to Friday, and I go home on Saturday and Sunday. I have already greeted my grandma and my parents-in-law, and they said they have no objection. Where are Uncle Luo and Aunt Zhao? What should we do? Luo's expression became serious. Brother, thank you. Thank me for what? Jing Zhe looked puzzled. Brother, Do you want to do good deeds without leaving your name? Luo Ye curled her lips. The leader who bought our house didn't really want to buy a house at all, but you arranged for him to buy it, and his parents, they just went to live for a few days because of the occasion. Now, they have moved away, and my parents can't wait to go back these 2 days. I can't tell now whether my parents will leave first or Joe Mikang will leave first. I didn't want to hide it from you, but at that time, if I reached out too much, it would make Joe's family uncomfortable, so I used this method. Now that the matter is over, they will know that the mood is the same as that at that time. If it's not the same, I won't think about it anymore. Also, you think I'm really doing good deeds without leaving a name. With the situation of the Joe family, how can I not inquire about this matter? I just want to wait for them to inquire about it and return my favor. Let the Joe family owe me a favor. Do you think what I did was worth it? So, you don't have to thank me, I'm just looking for a talisman for myself. I'm just talking. Do you think I really want to always remember your affection? Chu Xia curled her lips. I haven't talked about you yet, but because of your strategies or something, my parents, I was so anxious to get angry that I didn't sell the house for a few days. I heard other people's gossip in my ears, and I saw too many pointers in my eyes. If you bought the house earlier, there would be no such messy things. Okay, I was wrong. Jing Zhe shook his head amusedly. It would be great if you really think so. But Chu Xia, have you ever thought that Joe Mikang won't be able to accompany you home for a while? Uncle Lin, after going back with Aunt Zhao, I will definitely face more gossip. Let me say, you should persuade them to stay here, so that they can see you often, and be with Wan Lao as a companion, killing 3 birds with 1 stone. Son, why do you have to go back and look at other people's faces? As for their stubbornness, how can I persuade them? Chu Xia shrugged helplessly. My parents felt that their roots were in the village. If one day they really come out, it must be because I have made a breakthrough and have the ability to take them out, otherwise, they will never make that kind of plan. Although I already knew that the Zhou family would not embarrass me, nor would they treat me badly just because they lived here, but they just couldn't convince themselves. They always feel that living here like this is smearing my face, which is absolutely unacceptable to them. I persuaded, but unfortunately, they didn't listen to it at all. They just nodded when they persuaded, and after that, they went their own way and didn't change at all. Alas, I almost made them both worry to death. Do you think there is a second pair of such stubborn people in this world? Yes, Jing Jiman said solemnly, the second pair is you and Zhou Mikang. Hate it? Chu Xia said angrily, and suddenly remembered the matter of Guo Guo, and asked, brother, how is the marriage between Guo Guo and Li Ziru? Li Ziru's mother, Li Xinwan, did not participate in the case initiated by Xiao Bing. She was also forced to help Xiao Bing steal the car keys. Therefore, under Zhou Mikang's intentional care, she was released home the day before yesterday. However, her story and Li Ziru's life experience were completely spread among familiar circles, so Chu Xia asked this question. Looking at the result, his mental state is not very good. I asked him, but he didn't say anything. I guess it didn't go so smoothly. Jing Zhe sighed. Although I am honest with him, I can't force him to tell me the reason. Don't you agree? Yes, Li Ziru is probably the one who suffers the most, Chu Xia said while sighing. The most pitiful thing is her father Li Linking, who knows that the daughter is not his own, but still loves her like his own daughter. How uncomfortable it is to have such a result. This matter can't be solved in a day and a half, and it's not easy for outsiders to intervene. After a pause, Jing Zhe sighed. What I'm most worried about now is that the Li family may move away from the place where they knew them. Then, Li Ziru and the result is really impossible. It depends on whether the two of them have a deep relationship. If they recognize that they must be the other party, and both parents love their children enough, they should be able to find a solution. You. Jing Zhe shook his head. You are still too idealistic. Even if the two families are willing to ignore this matter, others will not let them ignore it. The so-called saliva star drowns people. If Kyokuo and Liziru are not fully prepared, even if they are really together, there may not be a good result. When a man and a woman form a family, no matter how good the original relationship is and how much they love each other, there must be a process of running in. And in the process of running in, two people will definitely quarrel. As long as they quarrel, it will affect their relationship to some extent. If they care about the opinions of outsiders, then, when they quarrel, this may be a sharp weapon to attack each other. Chu Xia looked at him wonderingly. Brother, you are not married yet, why are you talking as if you have experienced it yourself? Jing Zhe smiled wryly. I'm not married, but I witnessed Mei Yitong's marriage with my own eyes. These are all summed up from him. It is also because the summaries are too thorough that it has not been married until now. Touching the door of marriage. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 334. Brother Mei was married. Chu Xia looked surprised. I thought he liked Yamiru and was single all the time. Since the last time Mei Yitong helped her set Xiaoyuan up and beat Xiaoyuan up with all kinds of injuries, she changed the name of Mr. Mei from a bucket of coal to Brother Mei. Not long after Yamiru was kicked out of the country by Grandpa Ye, Mei Yitong married Yun Duo from the Yun family. Yun Duo and we also grew up together, and we have always liked Mei Yitong. During the years when Zhou Mikang and Yamiru were studying abroad, Mei Yitong was very unhappy. A quiet and introverted girl like Yun Duo often called everyone to get together, and a fool could see her thoughts. It's just that she has a too passive personality, and she really cares about face. Although she has done so much for Mei Yitong, she never admits that she likes Mei Yitong. Later, Zhou Mikang and Yamiru broke up, and Mei Yitong was with Yamiru. The shocked Yun Duo packed his luggage and went to the northwest without saying a word. Not long after, Yamiru's foreigner boyfriend came over. Mei Yitong was kicked out by Yamiru again. Yun Duo got the news and ran back immediately. This time, she didn't hide her thoughts, and stayed with Mei Yitong every day side. The Mei family and the Yun family had been on good terms from the beginning, except for Yun Duo's mother, who was not worth it for her daughter. The other elders were optimistic that the two juniors would get together. It didn't take long for them to get married. They thought that the two who had gone through so many twists and turns to be together would cherish this hard-won happiness. However, Zhongguo couldn't go on after being together for a year. The parents of both sides firmly disagreed with their divorce, so the two had to choose to separate first. After the separation, the relationship between the two not only did not improve at all, but they often did not say a word for a month. See such a situation. The parents of both parties can't force it anymore, so they can only agree to a peaceful breakup between the two. In fact, separately, Mei Yitong is a good man with a sense of responsibility, and Yun Duo is also a gentle and virtuous woman. No matter how suitable the two are, they cannot be a husband and wife by birth. The two who are friends now have a very good relationship. So, from Mei Yitong's marriage, I really understand a lot of things. Two really good people may not be able to be a real couple. The relationship between my sister and Yun Duo is good, and the relationship between me and Mei Yitong is also good. Based on what the two of them said, they are very tolerant and kind to outsiders. But when it was my turn, it was always easy to get into a dead end, and I was unwilling to explain when conflicts occurred. The Cold War gradually developed from the first few days to more than 10 days, and it took longer and longer. The more the relationship wears down, the more we really can't be together anymore. Early summer. I'm telling you this to tell you that Zhou Mikang's character is more direct and rude than Mei Yitong. As for you, you were so stubborn that you didn't want to say a word. If you want to be together, well, you'd better change your personality. It is impossible to change Jo Mikang's stubborn head. To change, only you can change. He's not that hard on his family, you just tell him what's on your mind. Don't beat around the bush, otherwise, in the end, you will be disappointed and he will be angry and break up. At first, Chu Xia just listened to Jingzhe's story as a story, but later, he finally figured out that Jingzhe was using Mei Yitong's marriage as an example to teach her. By the way, is this the same thing? Although Jingzhe only gave a rough description, she was coherent and understood the root cause of the failure of this marriage. Complementary personalities are indeed very important, and the most taboo thing in marriage is indeed the Cold War, but the biggest sticking point between Mei Yitong and Yun Duo is that Mei Yitong doesn't love Yun Duo, but Yun Duo loves Mei Yitong deeply. In this regard, she and Jo Mikang are completely different. The fundamental reason why Jo Mikang forced her to marry her was not because of her deep love for her, but because of her character and appearance. Although Jo Mikang refused to admit the problem of appearance, she firmly will not put this aside. If she is like Zhao Qian, short, fat and ordinary looking, will she really leave such a deep impression on him? People often say that the most important thing for a girl is the beauty of the heart, but the appearance is not that important. After dating for a long time, this law is indeed like this, but if it is the first time to meet, or just a few acquaintances, it is definitely the appearance that dominates. First of all, the appearance are what you like, so you will have the desire to understand, and then through in-depth understanding, you will know the character and conduct of the other party. Jo Mikang only met her 2 or 3 times and asked her to be his wife. What he said had nothing to do with her appearance, so go ahead and lie. Well, she dragged the question far away, and got down to business, because the basis of her feelings is different, which determines that she is not so suspicious of Jo Mikang, so naturally she will not always have a cold war with Jo Mikang. Moreover, her character can you bear it? She could go up and beat Jo Mikang regardless of life and death, and she couldn't hold back her grievances and cry. She wouldn't do stupid things that hurt herself. As soon as Jo Mikang came back in the evening, she told Jingzhe about Mei Yitong that she had told her during the day, and sneered at him with her mouth curled up. I'm still worried that I will also have a cold war with you. Tell me, it's just you who robbed me. Desperate, am I worthy of a cold war with you? Jo Mikang looked her up and down for a while, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Can I understand that when you heard Jingzhe tell me about my past, you felt a little sour, so you wanted to belittle me to make yourself feel better? Yes. Chu Xia crawled out of the quilt, knelt and took a few steps forward, grabbing him by the collar. Anyway, you owe me everything in this life. Before you, I didn't have any emotional experience. What about you? Emotional experience, and cohabitation, humph, I'm a big loser. Jo Mikang. It's not that he didn't want to talk to her, the white tenderness that caught his eyes completely stunned him. Chu Xia didn't know what time Jo Mikang would come back. He didn't change into his pajamas after taking a bath, so he got into the quilt wrapped in a fat bathrobe. The strap of the bathrobe loosened a lot after the movement just now, and he grabbed Jo Mikang again. With such an effort from Kang's collar, wouldn't all the glory be unleashed? A certain person was proud of his queen style, and he didn't feel cold at all. When he realized something was wrong, the bathrobe was completely open, without any cover. Ah, she exclaimed, and quickly jumped under the quilt, covering herself tightly, humming and muttering, rogue. Hey, come to his senses. Jo Mikang closed his eyes and took a few deep breaths, then walked out without saying a word. Where are you going? Chu Xia, who had been paying attention to the movement outside, quickly lifted the quilt and glared at Jo Mikang angrily. Are you trying to be irresponsible? Chu Xia. Jo Mikang's voice was hoarse. Of course I don't want to leave, but I can't be so selfish. What do you mean? Chu Xia tied up her robe slowly, got out of bed and pulled on the cotton slippers. went straight to the table and sat down. Come here, let's talk. Seeing her serious and calm face, Joe Mikang couldn't help laughing. You don't need to pretend in front of me, I won't laugh at you. Who is smiling with you? Chu Xia's big eyes showed some annoyance. Hurry up and sit down, I want to talk to you. After hesitating for a while, Joe Mikang walked to the table and sat opposite her. What do you want to talk about? Can I understand what you said just now? You are worried that you won't come back, so you want to leave me a way out. Chu Xia snorted bitterly. Don't talk about him, I want to be honest. I hope we can have a frank and honest talk tonight. If you don't want us to be Mei Yaitong and Yun Duo, then don't hide. It even rhymes. Joe Mikang straightened his expression as he said, I told you before that I will do my best to keep myself alive. Since I married you, I want to protect you for the rest of my life. I can't accept it if you are with another man again. Even for this possibility, I will do my best to keep myself alive. However, there are some things that cannot be done by humans. After going to the battlefield, the guns have no eyes. If you try your best and can't survive, won't it kill you? We have discussed this issue before, so I will not repeat it here. Chu Xia, you understand what I'm thinking. I'm all for your own good. I don't know why your reaction tonight is so big. Did something happen to you? Tell me, believe me, no matter how difficult things are, I will find a way to help you solve them. I'm a girl who grew up in the countryside, but my words and deeds and some things I know don't match my identity at all. Have you ever had any doubts? Chu Xia looked at her seriously. I repeat, I want to listen to the truth. The smile on Joe Mikang's face disappeared little by little, and he became more serious. You really make me have a lot of doubts, but, so what? You were like this when I met you, and you are exactly this. The way you look attracts me. No matter what causes you to change like this, it's a good thing. Besides, it's normal for a person's personality to change dramatically from before when he grows up. In Chu Xia, did someone spread rumors about this to bother you? Don't worry, I will solve this matter for you before leaving. Some people just don't like others. Chu Xia had a black thread. No, you misunderstood. No one spread rumors about this matter, but I am worried that rumors about this will spread in the future. What should I do if you are not here? Chu Xia. Joe Mikang scratched his head in confusion. If I refuse to take the mission now, it's impossible. I've been raising soldiers for a lifetime, and I'm a soldier. I really can't escape. Who told you to refuse the mission? Chu Xia rolled his eyes at him. Joe Mikang, what I'm going to tell you next may exceed your understanding, or you may not believe it, but I want to tell you. Do you want to listen? First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 335. I have something to do today, so I will be a little late, and it will be 3 more tomorrow. Let's talk. Joe Mikang poured himself a glass of water, looked at Chu Xia leisurely, and pretended to be listening attentively. Obviously, he thought she was just trying to play a small temper. Chu Xia stared straight at him. Do you believe in ghosts and gods? Joe Mikang shook his head. I don't believe it. Do you believe that people have souls? Chu Xia asked again. After a little hesitation, Joe Mikang shook his head again. Not sure. What would you think if I told you yes? I believe you. Really? Chu Xia raised his brows. Is it perfunctory or do you really believe me? Of course I believe. Joe Mikang looked at her seriously. Nothing is absolute, and my perception may not be correct. I know you are not the kind of girl who talks nonsense. If you say this, there must be a reason for it. If you are willing to tell me, I will be happy to hear it. After bowing her head in silence for a long time, Chu Xia finally made up her mind. Do you want to be the most important person in my life, who will never abandon me no matter what happens, and share any secrets with me? Joe Mikang nodded solemnly. Of course. Have you never doubted my identity? Your identity? Joe Mikang stared at Chu Xia with some doubts. What identity? Are you saying that what you know doesn't match what you've learned? Yes. You mean? Joe Mikang lowered his voice. You. He paused, frowning, for a long while. Shaking his head. Impossible. Your growth trajectory from childhood to adulthood is very clear. There is nothing impossible. Are you testing me? Chu Xia has a black line. You think I'm a spy? Joe Mikang didn't say anything. Obviously, that's what he thought. Your imagination is really rich. After a pause, Chu Xia said again, however, it is not unreasonable, if I tell you that I am a spy from the future. Do you believe? A spy from the future? Joe Mikang laughed dumbfounded, and unconsciously stretched out his hands to rub her head. What are you thinking about in your little head? Joe Mikang, I'm serious. Chu Xia stared at him dissatisfied. Just now you said that you believe that I am not someone who talks nonsense. There must be a reason for believing what I say. I do believe you, but you told me that you are a spy from the future. Let me. Joe Mikang spread his hands. If I say I believe, don't you think there is something wrong with my mind? Then, what I'm going to say next. Or, it will really make you think that you have a problem with your brain. That's right. I am Lin Chuxia, but I don't belong to Lin Chuxia of this era. I am from the 21st century. I was born in 19, that is to say, the real me was not born this year. As for why I came to this era, I don't know. Anyway, when I woke up, I became Lin Chuxia of this era. At first, I was very scared and uncomfortable. I always wanted to go back to my time. I was looking forward to the dark every day, so that I could go back to sleep. It's a pity that, day by day, I still live in this era. It's not that I haven't thought about committing suicide, but I don't have the courage to die. Most importantly, the way I came to this era is too weird. I dare not try it randomly. What if I don't return to my body after committing suicide and instead go to the evil ancient times? What should I do? Relatively speaking, although this era is poorer and more closed, it is still thousands of times stronger than the ancient times. Since I can't find a way to go back, I can only adapt myself to life here and treat my parents as real parents. There was a long silence in the room. Joe Mikang stared at Chu Xia thoughtfully, his eyes full of inquiry. I'm not making up a story or testing you. I want to keep this from my whole life, but everything you have to face now is full of unknown dangers. I don't want to live with regrets in the future among. It is very difficult to make this decision. I have been hesitating and struggling these days, but in the end I decided to tell you. Little fool. Joe Mikang got up, pulled her up, and hugged her tightly. What a little fool, I was thinking just now, no wonder, a person's personality will change so much. Changing her, the core is changed, isn't it changed? These years, it's hard to hold back alone, right? In the future, if there is anything you can't say to others, just tell me. For you, I will let myself live. No doubt. No inquiry. No fright. Not surprised. Yes, it's just a deep understanding. Tears flowed out of his eyes unconsciously. Chu Xia stretched out his hands and hugged his waist tightly, sobbing louder and louder. Later, he cried so much that he couldn't help himself. He patted her on the back, without questioning or persuading her, and let her vent all the fear and loneliness accumulated in her heart. No. Not these years. Chu Xia finally stopped crying, and said in a nasal voice, it's only 1 year in total. When you met me, I just figured it out not long ago. You are very brave. Joe Mikang sighed slightly. You are really brave. I am honored to be your husband. I am very happy to be trusted by you. Chu Xia suddenly raised her head and stared at Joe Mikang. By the way, you said before that my personality is similar to your sister who passed away. Could it be that she, like me, came from the future? No, Joe Mikang shook his head. She was just favored since she was a child, and she has a bit of a pungent personality. What she knows is not beyond what she has learned. Chu Xia said, I'm a music student, piano grade 12. Now, it's no wonder why I'm proficient in musical instruments, right? You. Joe Mikang hugged her arm tightly. One day, you will go back suddenly, right? The Lin Chuxia he fell in love with is the Lin Chuxia in front of him, so naturally she won't just because she comes from the future. Changes in feelings. I don't know, Chu Xia shook his head, but I don't think so. To tell you the truth, some time ago I had a dream and returned to the home that belonged to me. At that time, I was still alive, got along very well with my family, and met a man I liked, or maybe this was God's arrangement for us. You mean, the early summer of this era went to your era? Yes, it should be like this, because I always have no sense of belonging to this era, and I always miss my parents, grandparents, and worry that they will live in pain because of losing me. As a result, I had such a dream. If it is said that I think about it day and night, it may be possible, but the feeling in the dream tells me that it should be real. It is also because of such a dream that I really want to live a good life in this era. If my parents' daughter comforts my relatives, then I am their real daughter. Okay, okay, okay. Joe Mikang even said a few good words, but he didn't know if it meant that it was impossible for Chu Xia to go back, or that she should respect her parents.